Today's our topic is hydrogen and its compounds. Hydrogen and its compounds. In this chapter, what we have to discuss? So we are around hydrogen and its compounds. That means in your hydrogen, so what is its source, where it is available, what is its abundance in our nature. Next, hydrogen side, hydrogen isotopes, hydrogen preparation, hydrogen properties, different types of hydrogens, hydrogen uses, all about hydrogens. And next, compounds sides, water, that is ice, H2O, solid form and liquid form. Next, heavy water, D2O. Next, in water side, soft water and hard water, soft water and hard water. How hard water is converted into soft water, what are different techniques. So heavy water side, how to prepare heavy water, what are the properties of the heavy water. Next, compound side, there is one more and most important compound, that is hydrogen peroxide, H2O. Its preparation, its properties, its structure, its uses, everything is important. Okay, all this collection is hydrogen and its compounds, entirely theoretical chapter. It is completely memory based chapter. It is completely memory based chapter. If your memory is good, your marks will good. Otherwise, it is no other way. So please try to remember each and every point. Please try to remember each and every point. Almost problems are negligible. Almost. Already we completed hydrogen peroxide. So there, strength of H2O2, weight by volume, percentage strength, volume strength, normality, molarity, all those are completed. In hardness of water, how to calculate how much is the hardness of water. So small problems are there. Almost it is theoretical. Almost it is theoretical chapter. Now I am starting here. Hydrogen and its compounds. In particular, today we are discussing about hydrogen. Today we are discussing about hydrogen. So now our topic is hydrogen. Sir, what is hydrogen? Where it is available? So this hydrogen is mainly, see boys, listen carefully. This hydrogen is mainly available in our universe. So entire universe, in entire universe, not on the planet of the Earth planet. So entire universe, the most abundant element is hydrogen. The most abundant element in the entire universe is hydrogen. Hydrogen. So on the earth crust or in the earth crust, hydrogen is the 9th most abundant element. See here. So in the universe, most abundant element is hydrogen. In the universe, most abundant element is hydrogen. Next, in the earth crust, it is 9th most abundant element. 9th most abundant element is the hydrogen in the earth crust. So in case of non-metals in the earth crust, it is third most abundant element. Third most abundant element. So in case of non-metals, third most abundant. So which one is non-metals? So most abundant is oxygen. Most abundant non-metal is oxygen. Second most abundant element is silicon. So it is the first most non-metal. It is the second most non-metal. So oxygen, that is hydrogen, is third most abundant non-metal. Non-metal. Hydrogen is a non-metal, boys. Third most abundant non-metal is hydrogen. Okay. So that means entire universe, among all elements in your periodic table, the most abundant element is hydrogen. In the earth crust, among all elements, including metals, non-metals, whatever it may be, it is the 9th most end. But only if you consider non-metals, it is the third most abundant element. It is the third most abundant element. See boys. So from sun and stars, a lot of energy coming towards our earth. All this energy due to the presence of hydrogen. So that means the energy of sun and stars is only due to the presence of hydrogen. Only due to the presence of hydrogen. What is that? See here. The energy from the sun and stars is mainly due to the presence of hydrogen. Why, sir? Why this hydrogen is helpful for the generation of this much huge amount of energy? Because hydrogen involved in nuclear fusion reaction, that is called as thermonuclear reactions. So like this, that is, see here, hydrogen, it is one H1 boys, hydrogen, 4 hydrogen atoms. So in the universe, it is hydrogen combine with each other, that means unite with each other, that gives He24n, He24, and generates E+10, E+10, and releases huge amount of energy. This is the energy responsible for the energy of sun and stars. This is the amount of energy responsible. So this is called as small lighter atoms. So unite with each other, 4 lighter atoms unite with each other and give a heavier nucleus. This reaction is called as nuclear fusion reaction. Nuclear fusion reactions are also called as thermonuclear reactions. Thermonuclear reactions. But because to start this equation, to start this reaction, so huge amount of thermal energy is also required to start. After starting, that releases huge amount of energy. So this is the energy. So that's why this is also called as thermonuclear reaction. So it is nothing but nuclear fusion reactions. Because of this reason, sun's atmosphere contains helium. So hydrogen converts into helium and releases energy. That released energy is coming towards air. And in the sun's atmosphere, helium is available. Helium is first observed in the sun's atmosphere, and that is why which is called as Helios. So in Greek, Helios, the word is used. That is the goddess sun. From that helium, the word is derived. Helium, the word, because helium was first observed in sun's atmosphere. So this is about that hydrogen. Now, hydrogen, it is very reactive element. Almost all the elements reacts with hydrogen. Almost all the elements. So see here, E+10, which is called as a positron, anti-electron. So that is called as anti-electron, which is called as positron. See boys, how this is balanced. So 4 into 1, 4 into 1, 4. So if you add these two, you will get this 4n. If you add these two, you will get this 4n. That means, so 2 into +1, +2, +2, +2. That is total +4n. This is the way to balance the equation, boys. Here, nucleus changes to another nucleus. That's why these reactions are called as nuclear reactions. Nuclear reaction. Here, union is possible. That's why it is called as fusion. If dissociation takes place, that is called as a fission. Which dissociation takes, that is called as a fission reaction. No need, boys. So no need. See here, a positron is coming out. Next, our hydrogen is the most reactive element. Our hydrogen is the most reactive element. It is the lightest gas and more reactive. So our hydrogen is the lightest gas, boys, and also more reactive. Means hydrogen almost all reacts with, combine with almost all elements in your periodic table and form respective compounds. Almost all except noble gases. So that means hydrogen can form compounds with all the elements in the periodic table except with noble gases. Except with noble gases. So noble gases cannot combine with hydrogen. Except noble gases, hydrogen can form compounds with all the other elements which is present in your periodic table. That means hydrogen is very, very reactive. Because of this reactivity, that means hydrogen not freely available in our nature. Because of this reactivity, so hydrogen not freely available in the nature due to its high reactivity. Due to its high reactivity, hydrogen is not freely available. So, but in volcanic gases, that means those are gases evolved from volcanoes. Those are the gases evolved from volcanoes. So that volcanic gases, but in volcanic gases, free H2 is available. Free H2 is available. Please boys, in volcanic gas, free H2 is available. Except in this case, in remaining all cases, in our nature, free H2 is not available. Always that is available in combined state. Always that is available in combined stage. Okay. So next, it generates huge amount of energy. It generates huge amount of energy. So that is the energy responsible from suns and stars. Because of this point, based on this point, our scientists feel that the future source of our energy, is hydrogen. Because nowadays the fuels are nothing but or petrol, diesel like this. All these are at one time maybe disappearing, but never hydrogen. That is why hydrogen is considered as future source of energy. Future source of energy. So already scientists try to use hydrogen as a fuel. That is, the fuel gases are constructed, which is almost 70% efficient. That means 70% hydrogen is converted into energy, but the theoretical efficiency of fuel cells is 100%, boys. So they are trying to reach that 100%. Okay. So later we will discuss that concept also. Okay. So this is about the initiation of hydrogen. So this is the importance of our hydrogen. Now, in our hydrogen, what we have to discuss? So first of all, what is the position of this hydrogen? What is the position of this hydrogen in your periodic table? What is the position of hydrogen in your periodic table? Now, what are the isotopes of this hydrogen? So all these we will discuss. Now, yes. Now our topic is position of hydrogen in the periodic table. What is the position of hydrogen in the periodic table? See boys, in our periodic table, we have like this. This is the block diagram, rough diagram, boys. This is our periodic table. So these are S block elements, P block elements, D block elements. At the bottom, 14 plus 14 F block elements are available. This is the rough diagram. This is 1A group elements. This is 2A group elements. In 1A group elements, at the top, hydrogen is there. In 1A group, at the top, hydrogen. That means 1A group elements starts with our hydrogen. But hydrogen is not considered as 1A group element. Very, very important. So now lithium, sodium, potassium like this. So cesium, francium are there, boys. So all these are our alkali metals. All are our alkali metals. Alkali metals, nothing but 1A group elements, starts from lithium, not from hydrogen. That means hydrogen, no doubt, that is placed at the top of our first group, but hydrogen is not considered as first group element. Not considered as. That means So the placement in the periodic table is above alkali metals. But hydrogen is not considered as alkali because alkali metals, those are metals, but hydrogen is non-metal. Hydrogen is not metal. Because of this reason, hydrogen is not considered, not included in alkali metals. Okay. Now, what is the placement of this hydrogen? See here. So it is our zero group elements. This is our halogens, boys, which is 17th group elements, nothing but 78 group elements. Here, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine are there. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine are there. That means some of these the properties of hydrogen resembles alkali metals, and some of the properties resembles halogens. That means, so when we observe the properties of hydrogen, some properties resembles alkali metals and some properties resembles our halogens. So because of that, so it is not placed either 1A group elements or 17 group elements. It has its own group. That group contains the only hydrogen element which is above alkali metals. So that group contains only hydrogen. That means hydrogen is not included in 1A group elements, not included in 17th group element. That means all the properties of hydrogen, not similarities, not give similarities with 1A or 7A. That is why it has its unique position. It has its unique position, that is just above the alkali metals, just because it is the starting element. So that means hydrogen is the starting element. That is why that is placed at that point. Okay. See, what are those properties? What are those properties which resembles alkali metals? And what are those properties which resembles halogens? Okay. So now our discussion is properties resembling 1A group elements and properties resembling alkali, our halogens. Properties resemble 1A and resemble 7th or 17th. 7th or 17th. What are those properties, boys? See here. 1A group elements. 1A group elements. The general outermost electronic configuration for 1A group elements is NS1 configuration. 1A group elements general outside. So hydrogen also 1s1 configuration. That means its electronic configuration seems to be NS1. That means electronic configuration speaks, please place this element in 1A group elements, because electronic configuration coincides alkali metals. So, but halogens, there is NS2, NP5 is the electronic configuration, not equals halogen electronic configuration, outermost electronic configuration. So that means electronic configuration resembles alkali metals. Next, alkali metals have general outermost electronic, that is oxidation state is +1 is the common oxidation state. Hydrogen also gives H+1 oxidation state. So just like our halogens, just like our alkali metals has +1 is the oxidation state, but hydrogen also has +1 oxidation state. That means oxidation state coincides with first A group elements. Oxidation state coincides with first A group elements. Okay. Next, that is alkali metals 1A group elements are best reducing agents. Alkali metals are best reducing agents. So alkali metals are good reducing agents. Hydrogen also good reducing agent, best reducing agent. Hydrogen is also best reducing agent, boys. That means this property also coincides with alkali metals. This property also coincides with alkali metals. Okay. Next, valency of 1A group elements is equal to 1 and hydrogen also 1 bond can form. That means valency also coincides. Valency coincides, oxidation states coincides, electronic configuration coincides, reducing property coincides. That means all these properties of this hydrogen resembles alkali metals. That is why these properties helpful for the placement of that hydrogen in 1A group element. But some of the properties not coincides with alkali metals, because alkali metals are nothing but highly active metals. But our halogen, our hydrogen is a non-metal. Hydrogen is a non-metal, but these are metals. That's why this point, so controversial point for this element. But because this is non-metal, our halogen is also a non-metal. Halogen, that means non-metallic properties explains the placement of that hydrogen with at halogen at 17th group elements. At 17th group elements. So that means both hydrogen and halogen are non-metals. Next, hydrogen when reacts with metals gives NaH type compounds, and this is called as hydride. Hydride. Just like our halogen when react with sodium metal, that gives NaCl. It is chloride. That means it is hydride, it is chloride. Here hydrogen has -1 oxidation state. Here chlorine has -1 oxidation state. That means both hydrogen and halogen can form -1 oxidation state. -1 oxidation state. Okay. That means this point resembles our halogens. Resembles our halogens. That means just like halogens gives -1 oxidation state, and hydrogen also gives -1 oxidation state in hydrides, in metal hydrides. Next, for example, if aqueous, that is molten NaCl is going to be electrolyzed, that means sodium metal at cathodes and chlorine gas at anode are liberated. So that means if you pass current through molten NaCl, sodium metal is formed at cathode and chlorine gas at anode. Similarly, if you pass current through NaOH, that is sodium at cathodes and hydrogen at anode. Boys, this point is very, very important. When metal hydride is electrolyzed, hydrogen gas is liberated at anode. Hydrogen gas is liberated at anode, just similar to chlorine gas at anode. That means this point, electrolysis concept is hydrides electrolysis, is also resembles halogens concept. Next, that is ionization energy. Ionization enthalpy of hydrogen is very, very high, and equal to ionization energy of halogens. Ionization energy of hydrogen is very high, and which is equal to ionization energy of halogens. That means, so this point 1, 2, 3, 4, all these points, and also not all these points resembles halogen cell. Hydrogen resembles halogen cell. Some points resembles alkali metals, some points resembles halogens. That means because of this, hydrogen is not placed either alkali metals or halogens. So it has its own group that is at the top of alkali metals. That group contains only that element. Alkali metals not includes hydrogen. Okay, so this is the way. What is the placement of hydrogen in your periodic table? That means the placement of hydrogen in your periodic table still uncertain, not at exact position. Still the position of hydrogen is uncertain, not exact position. So because of this concept, this hydrogen is called as a rogue element. This hydrogen is called as rogue element. Rogue element, Ge, not Gh. Hydrogen is a rogue element. Why, sir? Why hydrogen is a rogue element? Because its properties are not exact. Okay. Therefore, hydrogen is considered as rogue element. So it is not an alkali metal element. It is not halogen element. So it has its own position. So generally, we started our periodic table with first element, whatever it may be spelling different. Okay, so first element, that is a hydrogen at the beginning, because it's the smallest and first element in your element set. That is the periodic table must started with first element, that is the hydrogen at the top of alkylic cells. At the top of alkylic cells. So this is the position of hydrogen. Now tell me boys, is hydrogen, what is the position of hydrogen? Is this in 1A group elements or in 70th group elements or either of these or none of these? Either of these or none of these? None of these. So finally hydrogen has no particular position. So still the position of hydrogen is uncertain. Still the position of hydrogen is uncertain. So this is the position of hydrogen, my dear boys. Now, what are the isotopes of this hydrogen? Next topic, Kenny. Next point, next topic, that is isotopes of hydrogen. That is isotopes of hydrogen. Tell me boys, what are isotopes? Already we completed at the time of our hydrogen, that is atomic structure. That is isotopes means elements having same atomic number but different mass number. But different mass number. Z is nothing but atomic number, A is nothing but mass.
So same atomic number but different.
Okay, those are called as isotopes. So here atomic number same but mass number are different. Now see boys, hydrogen has 3 isotopes. 3 isotopes. What are those 3 isotopes? One is 1H1, it is the pronunciation boys. Next 1H2 and 1H3. 1H1, 1H2, 1H3. So if X is the element, bottom subscript is atomic number, superscript mass number. So atomic numbers are same, mass numbers are different. Okay, so these here, this is called as ordinary normal hydrogen. It is hydrogen. It is hydrogen. It is called as heavy hydrogen. Its name is heavy hydrogen. That is called as radioactive hydrogen. So that means hydrogen has 3 isotopes. One is normal hydrogen, heavy hydrogen, radioactive hydrogen. Normal hydrogen is also called as a protium, which is also called as a protium. This is something which is called as a deuterium, which is called as a deuterium. And the third one, radioactive isotope, that is hydrogen, which is tritium. Protium, deuterium, tritium. Protium is nothing but normal hydrogen. Why it is called protium? Please wait, I will explain. It is deuterium, it is tritium. Tritium is the radioactive isotope of hydrogen. Radioactive. What is meant by radioactivity? Radioactivity means that is the species itself going to be disintegrate. Itself going to be disintegration means dissociates by the emission of a radiation like alpha, beta, gamma, which is called as radioactivity. The type of material, the type of elements are called as radioactive substances or radioactive elements. So that's why here hydrogen, that is 1T3, which is called as tritium. So this is symbolized like this also, boys. 1T3. It is also 1D2. It is no doubt 1H1. 1H1, 1D2, 1T3 is also the symbols for hydrogen, deuterium, and tritium. That is the radioactive isotope of hydrogen. So smallest radioactive isotope of any elements, the smallest isotope is this one. 1T3. Tritium is the radioactive element, radioactive isotope. Now, I want to find out number of electrons, protons, neutrons in all these cases. So see here, number of electrons which is equal to Z, 1 and so here also 1, Z is equal to 1. Next, number of protons which is also equal to Z boys, here also 1, 1, 1 and number of protons. Next, number of neutrons, A minus Z. Number of neutrons, A minus Z and which is equal to 1 minus 1, 0. Here 2 minus 1, 1. 3 minus 1, 2. That means all these isotopes having same number of electrons, same number of protons, but different number of neutrons. Isotopes differ by number of neutrons, but electron and protons are same. See boys, protons and neutrons are collectively present in the nucleus. Protons and neutrons are collectively called as are present inside the nucleus. Inside the nucleus. That's why protons and neutrons are called as nucleons. These are called as nucleons. Therefore, so nucleus of proton, nucleus of this hydrogen contains only proton. Only proton. That means hydrogen nucleus contains only one proton. No neutrons. No neutrons, boys. That means it is the only nucleus having without neutrons. Without neutrons, the one and only nucleus is hydrogen. Right? So that means its nucleus contains only proton. That's why which is called as protium. That is why it is called as protium. That means its nucleus contains only proton. Okay. So therefore, number of nucleons. See boys, number of nucleons. Number of nucleons. Nothing but protons plus neutrons is equal to 1. Here number of nucleons 2 and here number of nucleons 3. Number of nucleons. Nucleons means so particles present in nucleus, inside the nucleus. Next, number of fundamental particles. Nothing but electrons plus protons plus neutrons. Number of fundamental particles, electrons plus protons plus neutrons, 1 plus 1 plus 0, 2 and here 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3 and here 1 plus 1 plus 2, 4 and. So these are the number of fundamental particles. Number of fundamental particles. Electrons, protons and neutrons are collectively called as fundamental particles. Therefore, total number of fundamental particles is equal to different nucleus, different that is isotopes of hydrogen. These are 2, 3 and 4. 2, 3 and 4. Next. N by P ratio. N by P ratio. It indicates the stability of nucleus, boys. So because neutrons and protons are present inside the nucleus, so number of neutrons by number of protons. Number of neutrons by number of protons. So it has 1 electron, 1 proton, 0 neutrons. That means 0 by 1. 0 by 1, 0. N by P ratio. Here 1 electron, 1 electron, 1 proton, 1 neutron. Therefore, N by P ratio 1 by 1, which is equal to 1. Here 1 electron, 1 proton, 2 neutrons. Therefore, N by P ratio 2 by 1, which is equal to 1. So N by P ratio 0, 1, 2. N by P ratio. N by P ratio. Next, electronic configuration. Electronic configuration means number of electrons. In all these cases, number of electrons is same end. That means electronic configuration also same end. Its electronic configuration 1s1, 1s1, 1s1 end. Electronic configurations are same end. Okay, that means same nuclear charge. Positive charges. That means nuclear charge. Nuclear charge. plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. So all have same number of protons. That is why. So nuclear charge also same. So N by P ratio explains the stability of the nucleus. Explain the stability of the nucleus later. At the time of nuclear chemistry, we will discuss it. At the time of nuclear chemistry, we will discuss it. Okay. Next, bond length same end. For all these cases, bond length between hydrogen and hydrogen, between deuterium and deuterium, between tritium and tritium, all bond lengths are same end. All bond lengths are same end. But bond energy, hydrogen less than deuterium less than tritium. Order of bond energy, very, very important, boys. The order of bond energy of different isotopes of hydrogen is hydrogen less than H2 less than D2 less than T2. So because of less bond energy, so H2 is more reactive. That means among all these three isotopes of hydrogen, H2 molecule is very, very more reactive. Hydrogen is more reactive. Hydrogen, deuterium, tritium, among all hydrogen, deuterium, tritium, hydrogen is the more reactive because of small bond energy, less bond energy. Next one. Please try to keep in your mind all these points. Otherwise, so no one will help you. So the ratio of densities. The ratio of densities is that is hydrogen is to deuterium is to tritium density. Then density means mass per volume, boys. Density means mass per volume. So all these have same volume end. All these have volume same end. Volume same. But mass, it is 1, it is 2, it is 3 end. Therefore, that is order 1 by 1, 1 by 2, 1 by 3 end. 1 by 1, 1 by 2, 1 by 3. So volume, sorry. 1 by 1, 2 by 1, 3 by 1. All have same volume and therefore it is 1:2, 2:3 end. So order of densities is hydrogen, deuterium, tritium. This is the order end. It is the order end. Okay. So these are all some points towards your isotopes, boys. So some points. So now let us discuss one by one. In particular, 1H1. In particular, 1H1. Please wait. So we have 1H1, 1H2, 1H3. It is hydrogen, it is deuterium, it is tritium. Hydrogen, deuterium, tritium. See, boys. So all this combination gives normal hydrogen. That means normal hydrogen contains all hydrogen, deuterium, tritium, all combination gives normal hydrogen. In this normal hydrogen, 99.98% 1H1, 99.98% 1H1, 0.15% 1D1 deuterium, 1D2, and 7.6 into 10⁻⁻16% 1T3 are available. That means these are the percentage abundance of hydrogen, deuterium, and tritium in normal hydrogen. Very, very, very important. The percentage abundance. That means in normal hydrogen, which of the isotopes of hydrogen is mainly exists? Normal hydrogen. That is 1H1 is the major part. 1H1 provides major part. So that's why. So normal hydrogen 99.98%, Deuterium, heavy hydrogen has 0.015%. Tritium, that is 7.6 into 10 power minus 16%. So this is the percentage abundance of all those isotopes in normally natural hydrogen. In nature, nitrogen which is available in nature, so those are the percentage abundances. Next, deuterium and tritium. Deuterium and tritium are used as tracer elements in reaction mechanisms. These are used as a tracer element in reaction mechanisms. That means, so reaction mechanism means, that means step-by-step explanation of a reaction is called as a mechanism. So which one is the intermediate? After that, which one is formed? After that, which one is? It is a step-by-step a reaction is explanation. Reaction explanation is called as reaction mechanism. That reaction mechanism is traced out with the help of this hydrogen and deuterium. Sorry, this deuterium and tritium. That means these are very, very helpful particles, helpful atoms to trace out the reaction mechanism. So that is at the time of organic chemistry, we will explain the tracer conditions. So that is, these are the tracer elements, very, very important. Please keep in mind. Next, tritium, which is the radioactive isotope of hydrogen. So radioactive isotope of hydrogen. So this tritium, so radioactive means, so emits radiation. Emits radiation. That means, what is that radiation emitted here? That is beta rays are emitted. Beta rays are very low energetical. Radiation is coming out. That means it is harmless. Harmless radiation. Generally, radiation means alpha, beta, gamma. Gamma radiation is coming out. Automatically, it is very, very harmful radiation. Harmful radiation. So that means, so harmless radiation is coming out. That is why hydrogen is used as a tracer component. So even though if you use this tritium, so it is harmless to the human beings, and harmless because of this beta particle, beta emissions. See here how that beta particle is emitted. See here. In our nature, just a minute. So nitrogen is available in our nature, air boys. Nitrogen 714, and neutron 10, neutron 01, which is called as neutron. So this neutron is bombarded with, that is collided with nitrogen, that gives, so that is carbon 612 plus hydrogen 13. See boys, 7 plus 0, 7, 6 plus 1, 7, balanced. So 14 plus 1, 15, 12 plus 3, 15, balanced. So one atom is converted into another atom, and so this is nothing but tritium. So because of this reaction, this tritium is available in nature. So in nature, tritium is present. Why tritium is present? This is the nitrogen which is available in nature. This is neutron present in the nature. That neutron bombardment gives carbon and tritium. So because of this reaction, tritium is released into the nature. So that is, it is in reaction, in natural reaction. But in nuclear reactors, lithium 36 plus neutron bombardment gives He24 plus T13. 6 plus 1, 7, 4 plus 3, 7, 3 plus 0, 3, 2 plus 1, 3, T13, which is tritium. So it is in nuclear reactions. So in nuclear reactors, this is the way tritium is available. So in nature, this is the way tritium is available. So this tritium is radioactive element, radioactive isotope of hydrogen. It is going to be disintegrated. Itself it is going to be disintegrated and emits beta radiation. How? See here. Tritium is unstable. So tritium is unstable, disintegrates itself, emits harmless, low energetical, harmless, low energetical beta rays. Harmless, low energetical beta rays. See here, tritium ra 1T3 itself disintegrated without any help. That is converts into He2 3 and E minus 1 0. E minus 1, 2 minus 1 1, 3 plus 1 plus 0 3 and so E minus 1 0, which is called as a beta particles, beta rays. These beta rays have low energy and that's why it is harmless condition, low energy. So this is the way why the tritium is going to be disintegrated. During disintegration, beta rays are coming out. During disintegration, beta rays are coming later. Okay, so that's why. So tritium itself disintegrates and liberates alpha, beta, gamma. Among them, only beta rays are coming out. So that property is called as disintegration. So that is why tritium is radioactive. Tritium is radioactive. So the every radioactive element has half-life. The half-life of tritium is 12.33 years. 12.33 years. What is this half-life, sir? That is the time required to dissociate, to disintegrate half of its original value. That means because it is involved in this reaction, for example, 1 gram tritium is taken. So during disintegration, this weight is gradually decreases and reaches to at one time 0.5 grams. That means half of the material is converted into product. So for this conversion, we require some time, and the time is called as a T half and half-life. The time is called as a T half, which is called as half-life. So half-life of tritium is 12.33 years. 12.33 years. Very, very important points, boys. 12.33 years. Okay. So this is the way to explain some of the properties of this hydrogen, deuterium, and tritium. Among all these, the most reactive one is hydrogen. The most. Next, deuterium. So deuterium, that is 1D2. It has something heavier than hydrogen. The mass is heavier than hydrogen. That's why this deuterium is called as heavy hydrogen. Heavy hydrogen. Okay. So that means because of its heaviness, reactivity is less. The reactivity is less. That is why hydrogen is more reactive than deuterium. That is more reactive than tritium. That is the order of reactivity, boys. That is the order of reactivity. So tritium is the lightest radioactive element. So tritium is the lightest radioactive element among all elements. So tritium is the lightest radioactive element. So these are isotopes. Next, so naturally available hydrogen exists in different combinations, because in natural hydrogen we have both, that is hydrogen, tritium, deuterium, all these are available natural, but in different percentage abundances. So that is molecular hydrogen. Molecular hydrogen. Molecular hydrogen are 6 types. Molecular hydrogen are 6 types. What are those, sir? That is hydrogen with hydrogen, hydrogen with deuterium. So deuterium with deuterium, tritium with tritium, hydrogen with deuterium, hydrogen with tritium. So deuterium with tritium. That means H2, D2, T2, HD, HT, DT. These are all 6 types of molecular hydrogen. So among these, the most abundant one is this one. The most abundant one is H2. So that is we are discussing here. So that is the topic and we are discussing here. See boys, HD, this is called as a terrestrial hydrogen. Terrestrial, T-R-R-E-S-T-R-I-A-L, terrestrial hydrogen. Terrestrial hydrogen exists in the form of HDN. HD. Their deuterium exists as HDN. Terrestrial hydrogen, deuterium, mainly in the form of terrestrial hydrogen, deuterium mainly in the form of HDN, mainly in the form of HDN. So all these about that hydrogen, that is isotopes of hydrogen. So very, very important boys, please keep in mind. So the reactivity of different isotopes is hydrogen greater than deuterium greater than tritium. And deuterium is the heavy hydrogen, tritium is the radioactive hydrogen. The T-half for radioactive hydrogen is, that is 12.33 years. 12.3 in some books, 12.26 years also there. But in your NCERT book, we must follow NCERT book. That is 12.33 years is given. That's why I'm using 12.33 years. Okay. So this is isotopes of hydrogen. Now types of molecular hydrogens. Today our topic mainly about hydrogen. That is types of molecular hydrogen. Molecular hydrogen means a dihydrogen. Dihydrogen is nothing but H2. Types of molecular hydrogen, which is nothing but a dihydrogen, so which is H2. How many types of molecular hydrogens are there? So there are two types of molecular hydrogens, boys. One is two types, and so two types are there. One is orthohydrogen, and the other is parahydrogen. Orthohydrogen and parahydrogen. So H2 molecules in our nature, H2 is there. That H2 exists in two forms. One is ortho form, and the one is a para form. Sir, what is orthohydrogen? What is parahydrogen? See here, H2. It is a combination of two hydrogen atoms. Sir. This is one hydrogen atom. This is another hydrogen atom, boys. These are the two hydrogen atoms. Hydrogen and hydrogen. The combination has H2. This is the nucleus of this hydrogen. This is the nucleus of this hydrogen. These are the two nuclei of both the hydrogen atoms in H2 molecule. See boys, these are nuclei not at a fixed position. These revolve around themselves, its own axis. That is why. So this nucleus revolving like this, clockwise rotation, and this one also in clockwise direction. That means both the spin of the nuclei of hydrogen atoms, and it is nothing but, boys, spin of the nucleus. Spin of the nucleus. Both the spin of the nuclei of hydrogen atoms are in the same direction, either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Both are in same direction, same way. So that type of hydrogen is called as orthohydrogen. What is hydrogen? Orthohydrogen. That is the hydrogen. That is the molecular hydrogen in which both the nuclear spin in the same direction. Both the spin of the nuclei are in the same direction. So if they are different, that is, this is hydrogen atom, this is hydrogen atom, this is its nucleus, this is its nucleus. It is in clockwise spin, this nuclear spin is in clockwise, this nuclear spin is in anti-clockwise. That means both the spin are in opposite spin end. This is parallel spin end. Here it is a parallel spin. Both the nuclear spin is in same direction, parallel spin. It is anti-parallel spin. Anti-parallel spin of the nuclei. Parallel spin and anti-parallel spin of the nuclei, boys. So that is called as a para-hydrogen. Here, based on nuclear spin, hydrogen molecules are two types, orthohydrogen and para-hydrogen. That is why these two new hydrogens are called as nuclear spin isomers. Ortho and para isomers are collectively called as nuclear spin isomers. Nuclear spin isomers. So because these two are differ only in case of nuclear spin. In all other proportions, other respects, all orthohydrogen and para-hydrogen are identical, except in the nuclear spin. Except in the nuclear spin. That's why these are called as nuclear spin isomers. These are called as nuclear spin isomers or nuclear spin hydrogens. Nuclear spin hydrogens. See, boys, here both the nuclei are in same direction. Because these directions are same, here this hydrogen has high internal energy. High internal energy because spin is in same direction. But here this spin, some of this spin is cancelled with this spin end. That means some energy is cancelled. Because of that, here internal energy is low. That means para-hydrogen has low internal energy than that of orthohydrogen. Para-hydrogen has low internal energy than that of orthohydrogen. Therefore, because it has internal energy low, it has more stability at very low temperatures. So at very low temperature, para-hydrogen is very, very stable. At high temperatures, orthohydrogen is more stable. At high temperature, orthohydrogen is more stable. At low temperature, para-hydrogen is more stable. See, boys, see here, I am taking with an explanation. At 0 degrees Kelvin, at 0 degrees Kelvin, so hydrogen has 0% orthohydrogen and 100% para-hydrogen. Very, very important. At 0 degrees Kelvin, so hydrogen contains, not gas, hydrogen contains 0% ortho and 100%. Already I told, boys, very low temperature, more stable, and that's why it is 100%. At 100, that is at 0 degrees Kelvin, 100% para-hydrogen is available. As the temperature increases, automatically this para-hydrogen is converted into orthohydrogen. The percentage of orthohydrogen increases and the percentage of para-hydrogen decreases. See here, as temperature increases, that is para changes to ortho. Para changes to ortho. Therefore, percentage of ortho increases, percentage of para decreases. Percentage of ortho increases and percentage of para decreases. At room temperature, nothing but 25 degrees centigrade, boys. At room temperature, we have 75% ortho and 25% para. So that means up to room temperature, 75% ortho and 25% para. Room temperature is nothing but high temperature when compared to that 0 degrees Kelvin. That means at high temperature, ortho is the most stable. At low temperature, para is more stable. At low temperature, para is more stable. So at room temperature, the percentage of ortho and para hydrogens in the hydrogen is 75% ortho and 25% para. 75% ortho and 25% para. So this is about your ortho and para hydrogens, boys. Here, some of the properties, boys. Some of the properties. That means melting points of ortho greater than para. Please keep in mind. Melting point of ortho is greater than para. Boiling point of ortho greater than para. Boiling point ortho greater than para. Vapor pressure, para greater than ortho. Vapor pressure, para greater than ortho. Vapor pressure. Okay. Next, specific heat. Specific heat. That is ortho greater than para. Specific heat, ortho greater than, sorry, here it is also para greater than ortho. Please keep in mind, boys, para greater than ortho, specific heat. Next, electrical conductivity. Electrical conductivity, ortho greater than para. Electrical conductivity, ortho greater than para. These are some points towards the comparison points towards ortho and para hydrogens. Ortho and para hydrogens. What are these ortho and para hydrogens? These are nothing but molecular hydrogens. So only differ with respect to spin of the nuclei, but not vapor pressure means. So later we will discuss, boys, vapor pressure, not here. So that takes a lot of time. Okay. So these are some concepts. Some concepts in particular, types of hydrogens or types of molecular hydrogen. Very, very important. These are all called as, this is the point, very, very important, nuclear spin isomers. Ortho and para isomers are called as nuclear spin isomers. So at very low temperature, ortho, that is para, is stable. At high temperature, ortho is stable. At 0 degrees Kelvin, 100% para, 0% ortho. At room temperature, 75% ortho, 25% para. 25% para. So more than 75% may not be possible, even though temperature increases. Even though temperature increases, more than 75% of ortho, so may not be possible. Next, types of atomic hydrogens. That is types of atomic hydrogens. So up to now we explained molecular hydrogens. Molecular hydrogen means the two hydrogens combination gives a molecule. But here only one hydrogen and the atomic hydrogen. So types of atomic hydrogen here. So different types of atomic hydrogens are there. Among them, first one is nascent hydrogen. That is a nascent hydrogen. What is this nascent hydrogen? And newly born babies are called as nascent babies. Nascent means, that means just born. Just born. So just like that, here is the hydrogen atom just born during the chemical reactions. Just born during a chemical reactions. The newly formed hydrogen atoms are called as nascent hydrogens. These have high energy, that is a very, very less stability, and have more reactivity. Just born hydrogens, newly born hydrogens are called as nascent hydrogens during the chemical reactions. See here, that is newly generated hydrogen atoms. Newly generated hydrogen atoms are nothing but nascent hydrogens. Nascent hydrogens. Okay, see here, how sir? That is, see boys, SO2. This one reacts with water and that is 2H2O. The combination gives H2SO4 and releases two nascent hydrogens. Nascent hydrogen is represented in square brackets. This is the symbol for nascent hydrogen. Symbol for nascent hydrogen. Nascent hydrogen means just born. Just born. Two hydrogens are released. Those two hydrogens are used in further reaction. So during the requirement, whenever hydrogen is required, at that time hydrogens are prepared. At that time hydrogens are prepared. That type of hydrogens just born are called as nascent hydrogens. Those nascent hydrogens have high energy and less stability, and hence they are more reactive. These are the responsible for reduction of that further reaction. So that means these nascent hydrogens are best reducing agents. These are nothing. This is a nascent hydrogen, boys. This is a best reducing agent. This is a best reducing agent. So that means SO2 acts as reducing agent. So because it generates nascent hydrogens. Nascent hydrogens. It is a reducing property of SO2. So if oxygen is generated, oxidizing property. If the hydrogen is generated, that is reducing property. SO2 acts as reducing agent because of its reducing property. Because it releases nascent hydrogen. Those nascent hydrogens are responsible for further reduction. Just like that, when zinc reacts with dilute H2SO4 or dilute HCl, whatever it may be, it is nothing but a dilute acid, boys. Dilute mineral acid. That gives ZnSO4 and with the liberation of two nascent hydrogens. With the liberation of two nascent hydrogens. So this is the way to generate nascent hydrogens. During a chemical reaction, atomic hydrogens are formed. There is just one hydrogen atoms which are called as nascent hydrogens. So those are best reducing agents. So it is one of the types of atomic hydrogens. Next one, commonly called as atomic hydrogen. That is second one, the atomic hydrogen or thermal hydrogen, which is also atom, my dear boys, not molecule. Thermal hydrogen. That means, see boys, here we have hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas means hydrogen molecule. It is a molecule. It is a molecule. Okay. So this molecule is heated strongly. Delta means heating end. So heated strongly, automatically this bond is going to be broken. So homolysis is taking place. That means hydrogen atom plus hydrogen atom are produced. Hydrogen atom plus hydrogen atom is produced. These are called as atomic hydrogens. Atomic hydrogens. And having high energy, boys, less stability, no doubt more reactivity. More reactivity. So if this hydrogen molecule, through this hydrogen molecule, if electricity is passed, there also two hydrogen atoms are produced. So all these properties are also applicable here. That means when hydrogen, through this hydrogen molecule, if it is heated or electricity is passed, atomic hydrogens are produced. These atomic hydrogens have high energy and less stability and gives more reactivity. So now we have atomic hydrogens. Now if these two atomic hydrogens combine with each other, that gives a molecular hydrogen. Here, boys, it is endothermic reaction because energy is used. That means generation of atomic hydrogens is endothermic. But if atomic hydrogens combines to form a molecular hydrogen, huge amount of energy is released. More amount of energy will be released. More energy is released. That means it is an exothermic process. Exothermic process. That liberated energy is used for welding purpose. If atomic hydrogens combine with each other to form molecular hydrogen, through that huge amount of energy will be released. That released energy is helpful for the welding of, that is, metal rods like that. That means, so these atomic hydrogens are useful for welding purpose, which is called as hydrogen atomic blowtorch. Hydrogen atomic blowtorch. Here in this torch, so this energy is used so for welding purpose. Hydrogen, it is used for welding purpose. Hydrogen atomic blowtorch. So that is the way. Next, these formed hydrogens have very low lifespan. Hydrogen atom has T-half. The T-half of hydrogen atom is 1/3 second. So T-half of hydrogen atom is 1/3 second. 1/3 second. So it participates in the reaction by the losing of electrons. So hydrogen involved in the reaction by the loss of electron and converts into H plus. This H plus involved in the reaction. That means whenever electron is released, that means this hydrogen acts as a reducing agent. This hydrogen acts as a reducing agent. This is the way to explain atomic hydrogens. So atomic hydrogen by heating or electricity. So molecular hydrogen is applied, automatically atomic hydrogens are produced. So preparation of dihydrogen. So laboratory methods from acids, any active metal reacts with dilute mineral acids that liberates hydrogen gas. That liberates hydrogen gas. So active metals are nothing but 1A, 2A metals along with zinc. Let us take an example. That is our zinc reacts with dilute H2SO4, gives ZnSO4 plus hydrogen gas. Previously, I wrote this one as nascent hydrogens. If there's no nascent hydrogen combine with each other automatically, if there is no further reaction that converts into hydrogen gas, it is the synthesis of, it is the preparation of hydrogen in laboratory. Preparation of hydrogen. Please balance it, boys. Next, sodium metal. When sodium metal reacts with dilute HCl, that gives NaCl plus hydrogen gas, half H2. So this is the way to prepare hydrogen in laboratory. So that is from acids. So when active metals, zinc, sodium is 1A group element. So 2A metals and 1A, 2A metals or zinc. These are active metals. So see, boys, that is copper, silver, gold, platinum, mercury. These are not active. Not active. So not produce hydrogen gas. Not produce hydrogen gas because these are not active. ఆ యాక్టివ్నెస్ ఏంటి అదంతా కూడా మన డిస్కషన్ ఎక్కడ డిస్కస్ చేయొచ్చు అంటే సో ఎలక్ట్రోకెమిస్ట్రీ లో E0 వాల్యూస్ బేస్ చేసుకుని చెప్తామని లేటర్ దట్ ఈస్ 1A గ్రూప్ లోకి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు డిస్కస్ చేద్దాం 1A మెటల్స్. నెక్స్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ బేసిస్ అండి, ఫ్రమ్ బేసిస్ సెకండ్ ప్రిపరేషన్ మెథడ్. From bases. So from acids, from bases, these are laboratory preparation methods. Now bases, what are those? When zinc or aluminum reacts with a base, strong base, that gives hydrogen gas. That gives hydrogen gas, zinc or aluminum. Only these are the elements, very, very important, boys. So see here, zinc reacts with NaOH, strong base, that gives Na2 ZnO2 plus H2. Na2 ZnO2 plus H2. So balance it, boys. 2 NaOH, Na2 ZnO2. So that is H2 gas. This is sodium zincate. Sodium zincate is the compound. So along that hydrogen gas is liberated. Next, aluminum. Al plus 3 NaOH. This combination gives Na3AlO3 plus H2. So for our balancing 3/2 H2. So this is called as sodium aluminated. Aluminate. So sodium aluminate, along that hydrogen gas is liberated. Next, at the same time, boys, these reactions are very, very, very important. Number of times. So fill in the blanks. So what is A? So now same aluminum reacts with NaOH in place of water, that is aqueous NaOH. Aqueous NaOH is used. So that gives NaAlO2 plus hydrogen. This is called as sodium meta-aluminate. Sodium meta-aluminate, along that hydrogen gas for our convenience. So hydrogen, that is 3/2 and 3/2 H2. 3/2 H2. So this is the way to prepare. So hydrogen gas from bases. From bases. It is aqueous base. It is aqueous base. So when zinc or aluminum reacts with NaOH like strong bases, so those liberates hydrogen gases. So all these are laboratory preparation methods. All these are laboratory. Now industrially, Industrially, how hydrogen gas is prepared. That is large scale preparations. Large scale preparations. See, boys. That is synthesis of hydrogen. That is large scale preparation of hydrogen. Large scale preparation of hydrogen. So that is from first one, electrolysis technique. Electrolysis technique. In particular, electrolysis of acidified water or alkaline water. That means electrolysis of water, boys. Electrolysis of water. I think in your 7th class or 6th class, electrolysis of water you learn it. You learn. See here, this is the diagram. So this is like this. There is a diagram. So from the bottom, 2 platinum rods are there. So a test tubes are placed. Test tubes. So this is a current is passed. Current is passed. This is all water and in one condition hydrogen gas and the other one is oxygen gas are liberated. So this is already in your 10th class. Not 10th class, not 10th class. It is maybe 6th or 7th class. Electrolysis of water. Pure water is bad conductor of electricity. For that purpose, it is to this either little acid or base is added. So that is impurity by adding that little HCl or base. So if acid is added, that is called as acidified, acidulated water. If base is added, that is alkaline water. So whatever it may be, there is an impurity. So automatically the conductivity of pure water increases. Through that, current is passed automatically. Hydrogen and oxygen. Yes. So hydrogen and oxygen will be liberated at anode and cathode. So which one and where it is formed? See here, I am taking alkaline water. I am taking alkaline water. So that means some base is added. Some base is added. So here during this electrolyte, electrolyte. Through this current is passed. What is that electrolyte? The electrolyte usually is acidified water or alkaline water. So I am taking alkaline water, boys. I am taking for explanation. Alkaline water I am taking, that is electrolyte, through that current is passed. Now electrodes for passage of current, platinum rods, both anodes plus cathodes. Both anode and cathode, platinum rods are used for passage of current. Platinum rods. Okay. Now at anodes, oxidation takes place. At cathodes, reduction takes place. At anode, always oxidation. At cathode, always reduction. So oxidation means loss of electrons. Reduction means gain of electrons. See here. So at anode, so 2 OH minus, that is added, that is base end. 2 OH minus gives half O2 by the evolution of 2 electrons plus H2O. Half O2 plus 2 electrons. That means electrons are released, boys. That is why it is oxidation. Next, at cathode, reduction takes place. Gain of electrons. That is 2 H2O, water involved in the reaction. Takes the 2 electrons. And liberates hydrogen gas and 2 OH minus. 2 OH minus. So this is at anode, this is at cathode end. Here gain of electrons, reduction. Here loss of electrons, oxidation. Now net reaction. Therefore, net reaction means add addition of these two equations. Electrons cancel. 2 OH cancel. 2 H2O, one water molecule cancel. Now the final reaction is H2O gives H2 plus oxygen. Here hydrogen gas at cathodes At cathode, hydrogen gas is liberated. At anode, oxygen gas is liberated. At cathode, hydrogen gas. At anode, oxygen gas is liberated. This is the way to prepare hydrogen by the electrolysis of acidified water or alkaline water. Alkaline water. So this is hydrogen. Hydrogen is liberated at cathode. Hydrogen is liberated at cathode. See boys, in this reaction, how many moles of electrons transferred from anode to cathode? Anode loses 2 electrons, cathode gains 2 electrons. That means 2 moles of electrons are transferred. 2 moles of electrons transferred for 1 mole water molecule involved in the reaction. Therefore, for 1 mole water, 2 mole electrons are involved. 2 moles electrons means 2 Faraday current is used. 2 Faraday charge, not current. Charge is used for production of this hydrogen. That is 2 Faraday means 2 into 96,500 coulombs charge is used. 2 into 96,500 coulombs charge is used. These points are also important, boys. For 1 mole water involving reaction, 2 moles electrons, 2 Faraday, 2 into 96,500 coulombs charge is involved. So for the passage of current, that is very, very important. That is a required charge end for the required charge, my dear boys. Okay. So this is electrolysis of acidified water. In this way, industrially hydrogen is generated. Hydrogen is prepared. Next preparation method. Next preparation method, that is from coke end. It is also very, very important. Second industrial method, from coke. From coke, this reaction is called as coal gasification. Name is important. Coal gasification reaction for the synthesis of hydrogen. What is coke? How this one is? See boys, here carbon, that is nothing but coke end. That is red hot coke, we should use it. Red hot coke. Very, very red hot coke. Through this red hot coke, water wave, that is the steam end, hot steam is passed. Through red hot coke, hot steam is passed at about 1000 degrees centigrade. At about 1000 degrees centigrade, a steam is passed through red hot coke. Automatically it gives carbon monoxide and hydrogen gas. Carbon monoxide and hydrogen gas. Here delta H for this reaction is plus 121.5 kilojoule. Plus 121.5 kilojoules. Boys, it is a plus. Plus means endothermic reaction. Endothermic reaction. In this process, carbon monoxide gas and hydrogen gas mixture is formed, not individual. The carbon monoxide plus hydrogen gas mixture is called as, that is water gas, which is called as water gas. Which is called as water gas. Here both carbon monoxide and hydrogen, but we want only hydrogen. So the synthesis of water gas from this equation is called as coal gasification. So it is hydrogen. To increase the percentage of hydrogen, so the formed CO is once again treated with steam end. The formed CO once again treated with steam end. This gives, or that is carbon monoxide changed to carbon dioxide. Once again, hydrogen gas is liberated. That means the percentage of hydrogen is increased. The percentage of hydrogen is increased. So, in the presence of a catalyst, iron chromate, FeCrO4. This iron chromate, very, very important, which acts as a catalyst. So, in presence of iron chromate catalyst, so the percentage of hydrogen is increased. This reaction is called as water gas shift reaction. That means to increase the percentage of hydrogen, the formed CO is once again treated with steam, which is also gas, boys. So percentage of hydrogen is increased. Water gas shift reaction. What is the catalyst used here? FeCrO4. That is iron chromate. Iron chromate at about 673 Kelvin. At about 673 Kelvin, iron chromate acts as a catalyst. Iron chromate acts as a catalyst. See boys, the important product here is CO plus H2O. CO plus H2O. That is very, very important industrial use is there. This is called as water gas. When this gas, this mixture is going to be burned, it is burned in blue color. That's why this water gas is also called as blue gas. This water gas is also called as blue gas. Next, that water gas is used for the synthesis of number of organic compounds, number of different variety of compounds. For the synthesis of number of compounds. That's why that gas is called as synthesis gas. That is also called as synthesis gas, or in short, which is called as syn gas. Syn gas or synthesis gas, both these are same. So water gas is also called as blue gas, syn gas. Why it is called as syn gas? For the preparation of more number of different products and different compounds. For the synthesis of more number of compounds. So later we will explain the concepts. So that is the water gas. So to enrich the hydrogen percentage, automatically the formed CO once again heated with hot steam. So that reaction is called as water gas shift reaction. Here iron chromate is the catalyst. Iron chromate is the catalyst. Next. Now, see boys, in this reaction, coal gasification important, water gas. Which of the following is coal gasification? Which of the following is water gas shift reaction? Please try to identify. Boys. So today, this syn gas, this synthesis gas may also produced in different number of ways, and not only this way, not only in this way. So different number of ways are there. So nowadays, syn gas also prepared from first one, that is water, sewage water. Yes, just a minute. Sewage water, that is our drainage water. That is also used for the synthesis of syn gas. Drainage water. Next, second one. That is sawdust. That means sawmills are there. Yes. Okay. Sewage water, sawdust. That means so wood is wood cutting time lo dust vastundi. That dust is called as sawdust. Next, that is used. Third one, scraps end. Yes. Scraps end. That is scrap wood and cheptanu. Scrap wood is also used for the synthesis of that syn gas. These are the raw materials. And also our waste newspapers also used for the synthesis of this syn gas, because this is that much important. So this is very, very important, boys. Okay. So these are the different ways to prepare hydrogen gas. So that is mostly electrolysis. Purest form of hydrogen will be there. Next, also from coal gas. So different methods are there. So in our nature, hydrogen is the most important source of energy, no doubt. Okay. So nowadays, the required percentage, that means more amount of hydrogen is required. Among the requirements, almost 77% hydrogen is coming out from petrochemicals. See here, what is that reaction? Third one, petrochemicals. Okay, that is steam reacts with hydrocarbons. These hydrocarbons from petroleum products. Hydrocarbons or coke at high temperature gives hydrogen gas in the presence of catalyst. So this is called as so preparation of hydrogen from hydrocarbons. See here, I am taking example CnH2n plus 2. It is nothing but alkanes and any alkane, whatever it may be, it reacts with steam, nothing but n moles water vapor, n moles water vapor in the presence of nickel catalyst at about nearly 1000 degrees centigrade, that gives n moles carbon monoxide plus 2n plus 1 moles hydrogen gas will be liberated. 2n plus 1 moles hydrogen gas will be liberated. Okay, so this is the way to prepare hydrogen gas. So this is from petroleum. See boys, so presently, so among required hydrogen, so almost 77% from petrochemicals. It is from hydrogen, required hydrogen from almost 77% from petrochemicals. Next 18% from coal. Next 4% from electrolysis of aqueous solutions, and remaining 1% other methods. So at one time the percentages are asked in your exam boys. Okay, 77% from petrochemicals. So from coal 18% required amount required. So there is 4% from electrolysis of solution, aqueous solution, 1% from other solutions. So this is presently hydrogen. The preparation takes place. Okay, so number of reactions. Not only this, any that is alkenes may be generally used. Okay, this is the synthesis of hydrogen, boys. This is synthesis. Here, coal gasification, water gas shift reaction, very important. Next, properties of this hydrogen, physical properties and chemical properties. Properties of hydrogen, that is physical properties of hydrogen. See boys, the prepared hydrogen is a colorless gas, colorless, odorless, that is tasteless gas, and it is the lightest gas. Almost not soluble in water. Very important. Hydrogen is insoluble in water, boys. Next, boys, here very important. It undergoes adsorption on palladium metal. Which is called as accaltion. What is this accaltion? That is adsorption of hydrogen gas on palladium metal surface. What is adsorption, sir? Adsorption is nothing but a metal surface is there, boys. This is metal surface. Let us take palladium. So on this metal surface, hydrogen gas is attracted only on the surface, not entered into the interior part, not entered into the bulk part. Okay, so only on the surface of our metal end. This adsorption of hydrogen gas on palladium metal surface is commonly called as accaltion or occlusion, whatever it may be. Okay, that means palladium metal surface is the good source of hydrogen. So this is very important, boys. So accaltion of hydrogen on palladium metal surface. So palladium surface is the best source for hydrogen. Adsorption means only on the surface, not entered into the bulk end, not entered into the bulk. That is called as adsorption end. Okay. So this hydrogen is highly inflammable, boys, no doubt. But the transportation, hydrogen is transported from one to another. That is by using CaH2 in the form of CaH2. That is called as hydrolyth. Hydrolyth. So that means hydrogen is converted into CaH2. Accretion means the property is called as accretion, boys. That's number. CaH2. So hydrolyth. So that is hydrogen transportation along with in the form of CaH2. If that's later, tomorrow I will discuss it. Tomorrow we will discuss. These are some physical properties, boys. Some physical properties. Now, chemical properties. Chemical properties. Chemical properties of hydrogen. See here, hydrogen. There is a bond between hydrogen and hydrogen, a single bond. This hydrogen molecule is formed by the combination of 1s orbital of one hydrogen, second hydrogen 1s orbital by mutual overlapping, and it is sigma ss over 1s overlapping. Sigma 1s is the strongest bond among all bonds. Among all bonds. That means the hydrogen bond is very, very strong bond. So that means the energy required to break this, because when it is involved in the reaction, first of all, that molecule converts into atoms. Otherwise, reaction is not possible. That means there should be a bond breaking requirement is there. That is right. So that is how much energy is required. Almost 435.9 kilojoules of energy per mole is required. That is a very high amount, boys. That is why hydrogen not easy to break. That is why at ordinary temperatures, hydrogen is the less reactive. Hydrogen, because of high bond dissociation energy. At ordinary conditions, less reactive. But at elevated temperatures, as temperature increases, its reactivity increases. Now, so hydrogen reactions mostly at elevated temperatures takes place in mostly. So now what are the reactions available here? So first of all, reaction with air. So reaction with air. So in air, nitrogen and oxygen are available. So at ordinary conditions, so our hydrogen reacts with oxygen. Oxygen that gives H2O. That gives H2O. So at ordinary room temperature condition, at ordinary room 2H2O plus that is a 2H2O. So particularly this oxygen from air involved in the reaction. Next, at nitrogen elevated temperature reaction takes place. So not at here. Second one, with halogens. With halogens, very, very important, boys. Our hydrogen reacts with halogens. What are those halogens? So see here. With halogens. That is, our hydrogen reacts with chlorine, bromine, and iodine. Chlorine, bromine, iodine. These are the halogens. Our hydrogen reacts with them. So if these two are react with each other, that gives 2H. These two, that is 2HCl. These two, 2HBr. This two gives 2HIN. 2HIRA. So this is the reactive body. See, hydrogen reaction with the fluorine is a vigorous reaction, instantaneous reaction, very fast reaction, rapid reaction. Rapid reaction, very fast. That means whenever hydrogen is in contact with fluorine, automatically reaction takes place. That means huge attraction between those two is available. And so it is the best example for instantaneous reactions, fast reactions. So this takes place so in the presence of light or dark. In both cases, the reaction takes place. And in the presence of light or dark, both reaction takes place. But hydrogen reacts with chlorine only possible in the presence of light. That means the reactivity of hydrogen with chlorine only takes place in the presence of light. So if no light is there, no reaction is there. That is why the formation of HCl from hydrogen and chlorine is called as a photochemical reaction. In the presence of sunlight, only the reaction takes place. Photochemical reactions. Next, reaction of hydrogen with bromine. Something decreased. So for this purpose, heating is required. Some heat energy is also required. That is why it is after heating reaction takes place. It is thermochemical reaction. Thermochemical reaction. Reaction of hydrogen with bromine. Next, reaction of hydrogen with iodine. Almost not possible, boys. It requires heating and catalyst. So both heating and catalyst. Heating and catalyst platinum both are possible. So otherwise a backward reaction also possible. So that means in the presence of catalyst the reaction takes place. It is a catalytic reaction. It is a catalytic reaction. This is the way when hydrogen reacts with halogen possible. Tell me boys, what about the reactivity of hydrogen with these halogens from top to bottom? What about, is this increased or decreased? Reactivity of this hydrogen with halogens? Reactivity of hydrogen with halogens from top to bottom increases or decreases? Yes, decreases. Top to bottom, hydrogen reactivity decreases with halogens, only in particular halogens. So this is what we observed. Rapid reaction, very fast reaction, photochemical reaction, thermochemical reaction, catalytic reactions, catalytic reaction. Next, with other elements, not only halogens, other non-metals like nitrogen, that is nitrogen with reaction. So N2 plus 3H2 reversible with 2NH3. What is this reaction? It is a synthesis of ammonia by Haber's process. Haber's process. For this purpose, according to your Le-Chatelier principle, so what we required, that is high pressure, which is almost 200 atmospheres pressure from your Le-Chatelier principle. Low temperature, almost 450 to 500 degrees centigrade, because elevated temperature is required. And catalyst, that is iron molybdenum mixture acts as a catalyst. Iron is catalyst, molybdenum is promoter. So all these are applied. So for the reaction of hydrogen with nitrogen, for the synthesis of ammonia, that is by Haber's process. That means hydrogen is used for the synthesis of most of the chemicals, important chemicals, ammonia. That is ammonia is the most important raw material for the synthesis of urea. That is most important. That is most required. That is best. Urea is the fertilizer that is required by us for us. Okay, so that is ammonia. So that means hydrogen reacts with nitrogen, that gives ammonia. Next, and also most important reaction, boys, that is our hydrogen acts as a reducing agent. Our hydrogen H2 acts as a reducing agent. In metallurgy, metal extractions. In metallurgy, hydrogen acts as a reducing agent. See here. So examples for that one. For example, molybdenum, MoO3, molybdenum oxide, when reacts with hydrogen gives molybdenum plus H2O. Balance this equation. So that means the metal is extracted. Tungsten, tungsten oxide reacts with hydrogen, W plus H2O. Tungsten metal is collected. That means oxygen is removed with the help of hydrogen. Removal of oxygen from the material is called as reduction. That is with the help of hydrogen. Therefore, hydrogen acts as a reducing agent. Hydrogen acts as a reducing agent. Next, again, CuO reacts with hydrogen, gives Cu plus H2O. Copper metal is reduced. At the same time, silver chloride on silver, that is H2 that gives Ag plus 2HCl. Ag plus 2HCl. This is the way hydrogen acts as a reducing agent in the extraction of some metals. Extraction of some metals. Okay. So this is hydrogen. Next, hydrogen is used as a that is used in dalda making. And dalda making, that is unsaturated oils are changed to saturated oils. Unsaturated compounds are changed to saturated compounds. That is called as hydrogenation. That is hydrogenation of oils. Hydrogenation of oils. That is unsaturated hydrocarbons when reacts with hydrogen in the presence of Raney nickel. Raney nickel. So converts into saturated hydrocarbons. Unsaturated hydrocarbons converts into saturated hydrocarbons in the presence of Raney nickel. That is CN H2N. That is simply I am taking an example. R CH double bond CH R dash reacts with hydrogen in the presence of nickel. It is unsaturated hydrocarbon boys. Converts into RCH single bond CH. H and H are added. It is addition reaction. It is addition reaction. And R dash, it is unsaturated hydrocarbon. Change it to saturated hydrocarbon. Change it to saturated hydrocarbon. It is nothing but oil and it is nothing but dalda and fat part end. Fat end. The dalda making end. So there, Raney nickel acts as good catalyst end. Here, hydrogen is applied end. This process is called as hydrogenation of oils. There, hydrogen is used as a reagent for making dalda-like chemicals, dalda-like materials. Okay. Next, hydrogen is also used for making ethyl alcohol. See here, these are all some applications, some uses of hydrogen. Chemical properties along with uses. See here, that is H2 hydrogen plus CO plus H2. It is water gas. And hydrogen reacts with water gas that produce CH3OH, which is methyl alcohol. It is used for the making methyl alcohol, and the most important here is ZNO plus CrO3 and Cr2O3. ZNO plus Cr2O3. This one acts as catalyst. This one acts as catalyst. Very, very important. In the synthesis of methyl alcohol from water gas, the catalyst used is ZNO plus chromic oxide. ZNO plus chromic oxide is the catalyst. Or when carbon monoxide reacts with two hydrogens, here cobalt is acts as catalyst. Cobalt acts as catalyst. Here also methyl alcohol is formed. So here water gas is used. Here carbon monoxide with hydrogen. Both reactions are similar, but here this is the catalyst. Here this is the catalyst. Cobalt is the catalyst. This is the synthesis of methyl alcohol from water gas with the help of hydrogen. Next, and also very, very important reaction, that is almost last reaction, boys. That is carbon monoxide. N moles carbon monoxide reacts with 2N moles hydrogen. 2N moles hydrogen in the presence of Fe2O3 plus cobalt. These are the catalysts, Fe2O3 cobalt, that gives CnH2n plus water. It is alkene. Next, at the same time, N moles carbon monoxide reacts with 2N plus 1 mole hydrogen, that gives same Fe2O3 plus cobalt. So CnH2n plus 2. CnH2n plus 2. It is alkane plus H2O. So this is alkanes, boys. These are alkenes. So this is the good composition of petroleum, which is called as synthetic petroleum. This combination is called as synthetic petroleum. This combination is called as synthetic petrol. So preparation of synthetic petrol is with the help of hydrogen cell. Here Fe2O3 and cobalt are used in. Fe2O3 and cobalt are used. So here Fe2O3, what is the purpose of this Fe2O3? Fe2O3 is used to remove sulfur impurities present in these chemicals. To remove sulfur impurities. Fe2O3 is used. Cobalt acts as a catalyst. So this is the preparation method of synthetic petroleum. This reaction is called as Fischer-Tropsch process. So that is which is called as FISCHER, Fischer, PROPSCH, Fischer-Tropsch process, which is nothing but preparation of synthetic petrol. Very, very important, boys. Very, very important. Okay. So these are some properties and also uses of this hydrogen. And also hydrogen is used as a fuel cell and used in fuel cells. So tomorrow we will discuss. Thank you, boys.